Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. This is Chad at Endless Potential. Today, I wanted to dive into what separates training from exercise. And so, this is something that I think a lot of people get confused, right? Because training technically is exercise, but exercise is not always training.
I am smart. Esta Marchi.
I know what you're thinking. Like, what?
What?
So, let's clarify this. So, if we're doing any sort of activity in general, it's going to be a form of exercise, right? Anything that's going to be calorie expenditure intentionally, right? Walking all the way up to lifting, 1,000 pounds off of the floor. That's all exercise. Now, training is being very, very dedicated to a specific sport. It's got an input to get an output, right? There is a thought process from the beginning all the way to the end. And so, some examples of this may be CrossFit training, doing like relay style, timer events, stuff like that. Another example might be powerlifting, where you slowly, gradually increase the weight over and over, focusing on the main three lifts in a competition format. Bodybuilding, maximizing the most amount of muscle damage you can and maintain that muscle as you come down to a really lean physique, right? So you can be judged off of the proportion, symmetry, the art flow that you create through, your posing. You have something like hockey, football. These are like actual sports where they're team events. Those can be, weight training, and then you have like your actual practice and stuff like that. That's training, right? For that event. Exercise would be something like what most generally people do that are just wanting to just stay healthy. They have no like general output in mind, so they're not doing it for a traditional sport. They're not doing it for a non-traditional sport like we just discussed. It may be something like just walking for general health, maybe trying to get your blood pressure down or something like that, or you're trying to lose weight, stuff like that, right? Those are the kinds of things that we would consider general exercising. Another example might be something like this. Or something like this.
What the hell is even that?
What that means is we're just trying to basically burn more calories than we would normally if we were just sitting around, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're wanting to be serious about this, if you're wanting to get, a lot of muscle mass on your frame, in the context of what I like to, focus on in bodybuilding.
Damn, boy, he's thick, boy. That's a thick ass boy.
Or something like that, or any other sport, you have to be dedicated to it. And there needs to be some thought process behind it, at least a general consensus of why you're doing these movements. And what do I mean by this? So if I'm going in for the day, I need to know why I'm putting one exercise in front of another. I need to know why I'm tracking the certain weight or the certain rep range, or why am I doing 20 reps, or why am I not doing 5 reps? It's very important that you educate yourself on these things, so that way you understand why you're training versus just going to exercise. A lot of people who I see go into the gym, they're moving the weight around and they're burning calories, and that may be sufficient for some people, but I feel like a lot of people get the two confused, and what ends up happening is you stay the same, relatively speaking, for a long period of time, and mentally you have a goal in mind. This is not good for you if you're really wanting to get from somewhere, your starting point, to another place, right? Whether it be losing weight, gaining weight, putting on muscle, maybe building up a certain part of your physique that you want, like your legs, your chest, your back, something like that. You could be wasting a lot of time exercising instead of training. So some of the key things when it comes to training, additionally, is understanding good form, good technique, and understanding how to tax the muscle properly. This is going to be a really, really big deal when it comes to bodybuilding and wanting to have certain muscle groups grow. When I see people doing like tricep push downs, typically, especially in the afternoon when the gyms are really packed, and I go in there and I see people doing these push downs and they're swinging the weight up, coming down and doing like a real quick push, and then the weight just, slams back up. What we're doing here is we're pushing up. We're going to activate a lot of front delt. We're going to get a ton of shoulder engagement. We're going to get, the tricep engaged, too. We're going to get lats because now we're bringing the elbow up, which creates a stretch on the lat. And so they're swinging, and then they carry all this momentum. What this does is it just whiplashes at the bottom, right? So then now they've swung the weight down. They've caught the weight for just a split second, and they've controlled it to where it doesn't break the plates on the way back down, right? On the cable machines. And they do this with every exercise. I see this all the time. I see it in all age groups. I see it in quite a few people. What I have noticed, if you really, really pay attention to people who have a decent amount of muscle on their frame, there is no momentum swinging. There is no real ego in the lifting. It's going to be a lot of controlled technique, controlled form, good contraction, good stretch. And a lot of people will debate, full length versus partial and volume versus a high intensity. I'm telling you right now, you can try it all out as you go. Take one of those things out and then replace it with another and figure out what works best for you. But at the end of the day, a high volume guy and a low volume guy that have a ton of muscle on their frame, their exercises are going to look, the exercise selection is going to look similar in the way that it comes down to the control of the weight. We need to have the muscle actively working. You need to understand mind-muscle connection. You need to understand what it means to take something to failure. Taking something to failure does not mean that we're going to turn the bench press into a lift your entire body off of the bench press, and then you're going to drop it as quick as you can, slam it into your chest, cave your chest in, use the spring back from your rib cage, then get the bar back up to the top so that way you can say that you hit a certain weight. What it means is you get a respectable amount of weight for a decent amount of reps, right? So that's going to be dependent upon you. Respectable means if I'm going to say I'm going to do a heavy set of eight, that doesn't matter what the weight is. The end goal means that at 8 reps, I'm done. I can no longer complete a 9th rep. Respectable weight may be 135 for you. Respectable weight at 8 reps may be 405 pounds for you. What I mean by that is it needs to be to the point where you're taking it, the chest, whatever muscle it is, all the way, right? That's what high intensity does, high intensity training. Now, if you want to do volume, it's going to be the same principle, but instead of going all the way, we're going to hold back a little bit. We're going to get to the point where it gets difficult, about 3 reps to failure. And then you're going to back off. You're going to either keep the same weight, you're going to do some sort of change in weight, or you're going to keep it the same and you're going to hit a few more sets of this, right? And so you're never really going to go to true failure because you're using volume to get the stimulus you need. Now, I personally like to do the high intensity training where I just do 2-3 warm-up sets. I get a feeler down and it's 1 set all the way to failure and sometimes beyond failure, depending on if I had a spotter to assist me, not make it easier, but to actually make it more challenging. So, training is this. And exercising generally is going to be something like this or something like this. We do not want to be doing something like this because what that ends up leading to is just us stagnating on our goals. So, if you have any questions about training or anything like that, send them down in the comment section. I do read them. If I understand the question and I can help you with it, I will. If I don't know the answer to that question, I'll try to find it, or I'll just simply tell you that I do not know at this time. But for the most part, training is a very straightforward thing. There's not really a lot of ways to cheat the system, by doing partials or anything like that. It needs to be something where it's hard work, dedication, tracking your progress. And if you have anything, additional there, I'm always free to, like I said, read the comments. And so, all right, guys, that finishes up this video. If you like this type of content, drop a comment, a like, and make sure to subscribe. I am trying to get this channel to grow, and so this is very, very important to me. I'm trying to put out the best content I can. If you have anything you want to see, drop it in the comments, and I'll be sure to read it and make a video on it if there's enough engagement behind it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.